Thanks for the cash, I'll cool you off as a thank you. Here you go. With that sound, cold water came pouring down on my head, making me feel as if my fever was boiling over with steam. In a dazed state of mind, I vaguely understood that it was Yosef, my husband, who had drenched me with water. What Yosef brought was a bucket filled with water. That should have cooled your fever. Now get back to work and earn some money. Skipping work just because you're a little feverish. Yosef clicked his tongue and then said, "Make sure the room is cleaned up too. It better not be the same mess when I get back, or else," and then he left. He's probably going to see that woman. Even in my foggy consciousness, I thought of that, but I'm in no state to do anything about it. I need to ask someone for help. But my body won't move as I want it to. If that's the case, I won't forgive my dad. Of course, I won't forgive Hannah either. Remembering Julia's words, my consciousness faded into white. My name is Kelly, 42 years old. I work part-time at a florist's shop. Having worked at the florist's for 10 years and experience in floral arrangement, I've recently started to handle decorations for small events. Yosef and I started dating in college, but near graduation, I found out I was pregnant. We were young and it was troubling, but believing in Yosef's promise to make me and our child happy, I chose to marry him and start a family. Yosef wanted me to stay home while the kids were young, and I agreed, staying a full-time homemaker until our daughter, Julia, turned 10 and became more independent. Then, I wanted to re-engage with society and found my current job. As time passed, our grown-up daughter Julia decided to move out for her studies. Yosef, who adored our only daughter Julia to the point of not even letting her out of his sight, opposed her living alone until the very end. However, Julia's determination to live independently was strong, and eventually, Yosef gave in. "If it ever gets too tough, you can always come back home." Yosef said this disheartenedly, which was both endearing and worryingly overprotective. Yosef had completely changed about a year ago. "Can't you increase your work hours a bit?" One day, Yosef suddenly asked me that. "Huh? What's wrong?" "Well, with Julia's rent and all, expenses have gone up, right? And with the recession, my overtime pay hasn't increased. I was hoping you could earn a bit more." "Is that so?" I went from working 3 to 5 days a week, working every weekday. And since then, Yosef has been coming home late. "Dad's late, isn't he?" Julia, who happened to be home, looked at the clock and said worriedly. The clock was nearly at the point of changing dates. "Yeah. He's been saying how work's been tough with the recession, coming home late often." "Hey, if we're struggling with money, can I increase my part-time work hours?" "What are you saying? You should focus on your studies as a student." "Okay." As we were talking, Yosef came home. "Welcome back." "Oh, you're home?" Julia rushed to the entrance to greet him, to which Yosef responded with an annoyed look. "Are you in a bad mood?" "No, just a bit tired. I'm going to bed." "What about dinner and a shower?" "I ate out at a business dinner. I'll skip the shower." "You'll smell like an old man." Julia jokingly pretended to sniff Yosef, and he seriously yelled, "Is that something you say to your parents?" Julia was shocked and froze. "Sorry, I'm going to bed." Yosef said that and went into the bedroom. Watching him go, Julia made a strange face. "What's wrong?" "Well, I thought I smelled soap on Dad." "Did he take a shower somewhere?" Julia said meaningfully. "You must be mistaken. Maybe it's perfume from a lady at the bar or something. It's late, you should go to bed too." "Okay." I said that to gloss over, but I felt uneasy inside. Increased overtime, decreasing pay, and then there's Yosef, acting all different. I remember thinking I'd heard such stories before. On that day, even though something nagged at me, I pretended not to notice. Yosef, of all people, couldn't be involved in such things. I convinced myself. But my trust in him gradually faded. "Hey, can't you spare some cash?" "What do you mean some cash?" "Come on, money." Yosef had never begged me for money before, and I was quite surprised. "What do you need the money for?" "For entertaining clients." "Isn't that supposed to be covered by the company?" "With the economy the way it is, budgets aren't being approved right away." "So, you might not get reimbursed if you front the money?" I wondered if that was really possible. "Well, yeah. There's this client I've got my eye on, and their deputy manager, well, Yosef made a motion as if tipping a glass, he likes this. So, I've been going out for drinks personally to seal the deal, and it's starting to add up. I'm astounded. So, it's not for work, but your personal drinking funds that are running low? No, if this lands us the contract, it'll be worth a bonus. It's an investment, think of it like that, please. Yosef pleaded with me, hands clasped together. Fine. As I reluctantly reached for cash in my wallet, just this much, Yosef grabbed all the high-denomination cash I had. Hey! That's for our living expenses. When I protested, I'll pay it back. In the meantime, you can go to work more. Don't worry about the housework, any old takeout will do for meals, and it's fine if the cleaning slides. I'll take this then. He said, looking pleased with himself as he went back to his room. A few days after this incident, Julia came home with a troubled look. Hey, Mom, do you remember Hannah? Hannah? After thinking a bit, I finally remembered. Oh, Hannah? She had come over to play a few times during middle school. Yeah, that Hannah. What about Hannah? I ran into her in town today. As Julia was walking with a friend, Hannah approached them. It's been so long, kind of feels like a miracle, doesn't it? Wanna grab something? Hannah insisted, and Julia, feeling obliged, apologized to her friend and went with Hannah. So, we talked about a lot of things, like school and job hunting. Then Hannah said, being a college student must be tough. Aren't you in the same boat? No, I'm not going to college, and I'm getting married soon. At your age? It's not that early. Your mom got married right after graduating college too. It's not that different. Hearing this made Julia feel a bit odd. I mean, I don't really mind that Mom got married because she had me right after college. But it's not something you need to bring up, right? Julia knew about how we started dating. But indeed, it wasn't something to boast about. So, I've hardly told anyone. If asked, I would just say he was a college classmate. But to bring that up, that's odd. I thought it was strange too. I ended the conversation quickly and left, but I couldn't help feeling curious, and though I knew it wasn't right, I followed Hannah. I had a bad feeling about this. Then she met Dad. Oh no. Do you think Dad is seeing Hannah? I couldn't respond, and Julia said, if that's true, I won't forgive Dad. Or Hannah, of course. I thought for a moment and asked Julia, are you sure it was Dad? Did you check? No, I didn't. Then it might have been someone who just looked like him. Anyway, we shouldn't jump to conclusions until we know for sure, okay? I managed to calm Julia down for the time being, thinking it must have been a case of mistaken identity. There are many people in the world who look alike, I told myself. After that incident, Yosef asked for money again. I'm sorry, there's none left. That can't be true, we just had payday. Sure, the paycheck came in, but there were expenses like Julia's rent and gifts for a relative's wedding. There's no extra cash. There must be a little, right? No, sorry. Hearing this, Yosef scowled and thought for a while before saying, hey, how about Julia stops living on her own and commutes from home? Why? I was so surprised I raised my voice. Job hunting season is coming up, and it's more convenient now. Why should she move back home during such a critical time? Shut up! Yosef snapped back at me. There are girls Julia's age out there struggling. Julia is too spoiled. Pull her out of that apartment and make her commute from home. It's a waste of money. Who are these struggling girls? It doesn't matter who. Just get her back home as soon as possible, right? Yosef ordered and went into his room, locking the door behind him. I felt there was no room for negotiation. The person Julia saw that day with Hannah, it had to be Yosef. Girls Julia's age struggling. Was he referring to Hannah? His heart stolen by a young woman the same age as his own daughter, Yosef started to neglect Julia, whom he once cherished so much. Hannah was supposedly getting married after graduation. Does that mean Yosef plans to leave me? What should I do if that's the case? My thoughts were swirling, and I couldn't focus. I need to do something in case that day comes. Yet, I still hoped, deep down, that Yosef would return to his old self, unable to make up my mind. Kelly, you're zoning out. What's wrong? Oh, sorry. I hurried back to my work. It's rare to see you like this. Sorry. The manager, watching me return to my tasks, said, "Hey, you've got something on your mind, haven't you? You've lost weight recently and seem tired." Manager. I had the urge to spill everything but swallowed it. No, I'm just a bit tired, that's all. I forced a smile as best as I could. Is that so? Well, if there's anything, don't hesitate to talk to me, okay? Thank you. It felt good to have someone show kindness in my current state. My workplace became my sanctuary. While immersed in work, I could forget about Yosef and Hannah. But returning home no longer felt peaceful. What's this? Takeout again? Can't you at least cook? You said it was fine since you're busy. There's a limit to everything. Yosef then threw the takeout into the trash can. What are you doing? More importantly, give me some money. I don't have any. Neglecting your husband to work, you must have saved up a bunch, right? That's terrible. Yosef would demand money, and when I said I had none, he would search the house, take any hidden cash, and leave. His absences grew more frequent. His behavior worsened day by day. He no longer hid his affairs and stopped contributing financially to the household. At least put in for Julia's rent. Juliet is too spoiled. Letting her struggle a bit is good for her. She can earn her rent or move back home if she can't pay. Better yet, have her quit college and start working, contributing to the household. That was his response. Looking back, I'm amazed I endured so much. Pushed to the brink, it seems you lose the ability to make rational decisions. All I could do was wait, hoping Yosef would come around, enduring until that day. Without financial support, I took on extra jobs besides the flower shop, working sleepless nights. My nerves were frayed, my body exhausted. One morning, I couldn't get up, dizzy and apparently feverish. I couldn't go to work. I need to call in sick. But I couldn't move to make the call. As I lay there, the door burst open. And an angry Yosef stood there. Hey, how long are you gonna sleep? Planning to skip work? Get moving. I think I have a fever. Barely managing to speak, Yosef approached, scrutinized my face, and said, with a sly smile. And just when I wondered what he was about to do, he approached my bag and started rummaging through it. What are you doing? Wow, looks like there's quite a bit in here. It was the bag I had kept close at all times, filled with living expenses to ensure Yosef wouldn't take it. Stop, if you take that, I won't be able to live. Like I care. Yosef took all the cash from the wallet, I'll leave the change. And I'm taking this too, he said, as he pulled out the credit card. Please, stop. I tried to chase after him to take it back, but my body was as heavy as lead and wouldn't move. Yosef glanced back at me, then seemed to come up with an idea, left the room, and returned with something. Thanks for the money. Here's a little something to cool you off. With that sound, cold water poured over my head, making me feel as if steam was rising from the fever I felt. In my dazed state, I vaguely realized that my husband, Yosef, had doused me with water from a bucket. That should cool off your fever. Now get back to work and earn some money. Skipping work just because you're a little sick. Yosef clicked his tongue and said, make sure you clean up the room too. If it's still like this when I get back, you'll regret it, and then he left. Probably to see that woman. In my foggy state of mind, I thought about this but had no energy to act on it. I need to ask someone for help. But my body wouldn't move as I wanted it to. If that's the case, I won't forgive Dad. Hannah neither. I remembered Julia's words as my consciousness faded to white. When I woke up, I found myself in a white room. Where am I? Kelly, thank goodness. Manager. The white room turned out to be a hospital ward. Apparently, worried about me not showing up for work without any notice, the manager came to check on me. Luckily, the door was unlocked, and when she entered calling out with no response, she found me collapsed and soaked on the floor, then called an ambulance. We were just in time. You could have died of hypothermia. What on earth happened? Manager. Feeling the relief of being saved, the manager's kind words, and then thinking of Yosef's cruelty, I started crying. And while crying, I told the manager everything that had happened. Oh, that's terrible. The manager was outraged, so what do you plan to do now? If there's anything I can help with, just let me know. But first, you need to rest, okay? She tucked me in. Yosef, who had left me soaked and went away, had actually gone on a week-long overseas trip with Hannah, using my credit card without my permission. So, you admit to using Kelly's card without her permission? Yes. I thought it was okay since we're family. Even family members can be charged for unauthorized use. I didn't know that. Yosef showed exaggerated remorse. My card was declined due to a magnetic strip issue, so I just borrowed it. I plan to pay back everything I used. Then, please write and sign a statement promising to repay, the lawyer instructed sternly. All this fuss for the family? If Kelly files a police report, you'll be considered a criminal, you know? With the lawyer's stern words, Yosef reluctantly agreed to do as told. Now, about your relationship with Hannah. There's no mistake you committed adultery with her while being married, right? No, that's not true. Yosef desperately pleaded to the lawyer. She was just a worker at a bar we went to together, nothing shady about our relationship. And how do you explain the brand bags and jewelry you purchased with this card? Well, Yosef awkwardly scratched his head. I was just trying to impress the girls at the bar who asked for them. Of course, I intended to pay it all back. Is that so? Then you deny the relationship? Of course. You think such excuses will work? Do you have any proof that our relationship was inappropriate? The lawyer's face turned sour. Admittedly, it was my mistake to do something that could be misconstrued, but I swear, our relationship was nothing beyond that of a hostess and a customer. Yosef said with a smirk. Confident there was no evidence against him. Given the lack of time, we'll put that aside for now and move on to the next issue. Please, go ahead. Yosef, initially flustered, now appeared more composed. Why would you pour water on Kelly while she was sick in bed with a fever? It's a misunderstanding. Yosef loudly denied. I didn't do such a thing. Pouring water on Kelly while she has a fever? That's ridiculous. Do I look like someone who would do that? First off, why would there even be a need to do such a thing? The lawyer quietly observed Yosef. Please tell me, why would anyone need to pour water on someone sick in bed with a fever? That's what we're asking you for. I told you, I didn't do it. Yosef seemed intent on playing dumb. I don't know why Kelly would lie about such a thing. Maybe she was delirious from the fever and got herself wet without realizing? Yosef concocted a plausible lie. The lawyer looked on with a grim face. Either way, there are no witnesses or evidence. I just borrowed the card without knowing. I have no recollection of being sued by Kelly. No, there is evidence. Julia, who had been listening to the exchange between Yosef and the lawyer in the next room, chose that moment to enter. Julia! What do you mean your father did? I don't consider you my father anymore. With that, Julia showed a video on her tablet. It was a video showing Yosef hurling insults at me, taking the money and card, and pouring a bucket of water on me while I was asleep, then leaving. What's this? Spying? No, it's from a security camera. I set it up secretly because I thought you might do something to Mom. You! Yosef lunged for the tablet, but Julia easily dodged. It's useless. The data has been copied and saved multiple times. If you break this, you'll just add destruction of property to your crimes. What? You're treating your parents like a criminal? What you did is a criminal act. Don't you understand that? Julia explained with a cold stare. First, theft. Even if we're family, stealing money or cards is a crime. Then, leaving your sick mother drenched and unattended, that's either abandonment or assault, and could even be considered attempted murder with indirect intent. Murder! Yosef turned pale. Just because I poured a little water, it doesn't escalate to that. It does. Leaving a sick person drenched and unattended, knowing it could lead to the worst outcome, constitutes such a crime. No! Yosef slumped over the table. Well, you're quite educated. Oh. Julia quickly apologized to the lawyer. Sorry. I didn't mean to overstep with a professional present. No, it's out of concern for your mother. The lawyer smiled kindly. Yosef. Yes. Do you understand how severe your actions were? Yes. Yosef, now devoid of his initial bravado, became meek as a kitten. However, Kelly has stated she won't sue if you agree to her conditions. What are they? The lawyer relayed my demands to Yosef, who agreed to all of them. My conditions were for the house to be transferred to my name with Yosef continuing to pay the mortgage. He was also to repay all the money he had taken from me along with a lump sum for damages. Furthermore, he was to sign the divorce papers. As long as you accept those terms, you're free to remarry Hannah or do whatever you please. With that, Yosef quietly agreed to the demands. After the house was transferred to my name, I sold it immediately. This would cause Yosef considerable trouble due to the double mortgage, but that was no longer my concern. Interestingly, after our divorce was finalized, Yosef, pleased, attempted to marry Hannah, who, of course, refused. Why would a young woman in her 20s marry a middle-aged man burdened with a double mortgage, debt, and alimony, leaving him penniless? It also came to light that Hannah had various issues with relationships and money, and now, she has no one willing to associate with her, regardless of gender. She was expelled from college for that reason, right? Then she met your dad while working at that shop, thinking she could marry into a better life because he seemed well off. Julia guessed, based on what she heard from friends about Hannah. Considering Yosef lied to me about his reduced salary and invested everything he had in Hannah, it's not surprising she thought that way. With the substantial funds I acquired, I became independent and opened my own shop. The manager happily supported my departure, promising to maintain a friendly relationship as industry peers. This was possible because the concept of the manager's shop and my shop's vision were subtly different, ensuring we wouldn't become competitors. It's like I was living in a bad dream. But now, you've woken up from that dream, standing firm on your own 2 feet. Think of it as being bitten by a dog and forget about it. The manager said with a laugh, now, let's focus on our upcoming joint event. Right. Our collaboration between the manager's shop and mine, due to its intriguing concept, has attracted media attention, leading to a surge in new requests. Because of that incident, Julia has decided to work at that law firm after graduating from the law school. Truly, what once was a terrible nightmare has led to nothing but happy realities. I shared, prompting laughter from the manager, get ready to be busy. You'll be too busy to sleep, let alone have bad dreams, she reassured me, and I too smiled.